Can a pillow fort sell more rooms and generate more revenue than a Maldives-style bungalow? Meeting guest expectations or making guests feel at home or fulfilling guest desire. If you have been working hotel industry long enough, which is at least 48 hours, you know that ultimately it's all about these statements. And in theory, the more you accomplish to meet these requirements, the more successful your hotel is going to be. And so if I ask you, what is the problem with meeting a guest expectations, desire, and making them feel at home, you probably feel confused. In fact, nothing is wrong except this, and again something like this. And you see, here's the problem: everything is just perfect. What these hotels did were just perfect. The only problem is that it was boring. Whilst failing at meeting guest expectations will definitely and ultimately triggers the worst possible reviews about your hotel, succeeding in it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna get the exact opposite positive feedback. And if you think about it, it all makes sense because we don't really value the obvious, but we stumble upon the unexpected. And so, put another way, surprising our guests with something totally unexpected is no longer a nice to have. It becomes the number one focus of every hotel marketing strategy. The positive news is that going extra mile can be totally easy and can be totally free. All it requires is just some positive attitude and a little bit of creativity from the staff delivering the surprise. And so in this article, we're going to see together some real example of hotels who succeeded at surprising their guests, and more importantly, how this extra mile attitude translates in terms of marketing for those hotels. These and more coming up, so let's dig in. I started this video mentioning a pillow fort. Can a pillow fort sell more than a Maldives-style bungalow? But first of all, what exactly do I mean by positively impact the marketing of a hotel? And so in simple word is this. I've been sharing this picture for like 3 years in a row actually. The first time was 3 years ago at an event where I was talking about Google Analytics for hotels, something not related to this picture. And I remember I concluded my speech by simply saying, you know what, forget everything about what I said. It doesn't really matter. Forget about analytics, forget about Google, forget about everything that I said. That's totally BS, because the only thing that really matters is this, your guest. And little did I know back then, 3 years ago, that actually so many hotels, I found so many good examples of hotels who managed to really surprise their guests in the most creative ways. Way that indeed made me smile, but also made me think. Because in this example, the hotel went extra mile after a specific request, and very odd request by the customer. But it made me think in terms of, were there ways to proactively become memorable and sticky in the minds and in the eyes of the potential customer without waiting for the customer, for the guest to ask us something special? And of course there are. Here I've collected some of the very good examples that I hope will give you inspiration to become memorable too every single day. Let's see the first example. Just have fun. Period. Every single item in your hotel can be turned into something fun and not just boring. However, understand that this is pretty difficult because playing or having fun is some sort of taboo in the hotel industry, especially for those hotels who are or actually think they are in the luxury segment. And I can tell you this by personal experience because it's as if in the eyes of the hotel managers of these luxury hotels, fun is some sort of antagonist of luxury. And of course this is personal, but needless to say, and probably you have already understood that, in my opinion, fun and luxury can beautifully coexist. Maybe it's just a matter of finding the right fun, the right kind of fun that matches the luxury brand. There are so many ways of being fun that I'm pretty sure you can get yours, you can get your own way of being fun without interfering with your idea of being luxury. Become memorable by providing something fun but also useful. Surprises are welcome in any sort of shape and forms, right? But while some just trigger a smile on the face of those guests who receive them, some other are incredibly useful or can be potentially incredibly useful. And this card, in my opinion, is a piece of art. In a country where, generally speaking, of course, tourist operators like taxi drivers may have some difficulties at communicating in English with people, with tourists, let alone communicating in any other language that is not the one of their own country. A simple tool like this represents a very practical help. And thinking about it, probably you just have to copy this idea. What if you create your own version of this card in your own language with, of course, your own instructions? Maybe you can created it in different languages, matching the different languages of your customers, and you give it to your guest upon check-in. It's simple, it's easy to produce, and it's cost-effective. What else? Well, actually so much else. So check this out, for example. And this is probably one of my favorite, probably the favorite among all. Let's just do simple math. How much does cleaning a room cost you, as opposed to how much does offering a drink cost you? Plus, you're letting your guests choosing what they prefer, making them feel in control. Again, it's free to produce, it's fun, and it's useful. The example that we have seen so far cost little to no money at all. However, probably by now you start seeing the benefit of these things, and you might be thinking, what if I invest a little bit of budget to create something really unique and something uniquely yours? And that it is. And what I really like about this idea is that it really comes from someone from the management of the hotel who literally thought and stepped into their guest's shoes, asking themselves, how can I make my guest experience, the overall experience, not just the hotel stay, memorable? And if you are especially in a leisure destination, you perfectly know some of the most important issues that tourists have while staying there. Roaming charges and the short-lasting batteries of their phone, which will ultimately let them without enough power to take pictures, to take photos, to take selfies, and so on and so forth. And so an idea like this, of course, will require a little bit of an investment. Relieve the pain of running out of battery to those people, to those guests who are actually just out and enjoying all of the beauties your city, your town has to offer. And so here is a Danish-based company, Solshot. I am not affiliated to anyone, so I'm not sponsoring anything, but I just ran into this product a few years ago and I immediately loved the concept. And furthermore, if you think about it, you can use it also to your direct booking proposition, to your direct booking strategy. In other words, you can offer this tool, these advantages, only to people who book direct. In this case, the way you sell the idea is going to make the whole difference. In fact, just like in any other marketing activities, your copy, so the message that you associate to the product, to the tool, is going to dictate your result. And here I just wrote down an example by myself. It's just a draft, but maybe you can take it as an inspiration. You see how we are not just proposing a tool and let the guest imagine what they can do with it, but we are actually telling them how they will be feeling. I mentioned above the one idea that probably I like the most. This is going to be probably the one that I like the least, towel character. I normally travel quite frequently, and this towel fad has become quite popular and quite inflated because, to be honest, most of the times you will only see one character, swans. But at least if you go this way, you can think of some other characters, something to really impress customers, or at least to picture a smile on their face. This was easy and I don't want to spend too much time on it. Let's move forward. Even bathroom can help you become memorable. We've talked about room amenities that can be fun, that can be helpful, and can also be used as a branding weapon. But what about bathroom amenity? And ultimately they can be the same. They can be fun, they can be useful, and they can become even some branding weapons. Fun can be something like this, a shampoo that you can steal. Useful, so that all those unused soap can be taken away. And a branding weapon. What about a rubber duck? A branding weapon and even fun, because you can put a statement saying something like steal me, or something like bring me home. In the room, in the bathroom, where else? Well, actually everywhere. In and around your hotel. So what about these stairs that lead to the room floors? And I might hear the voice of some of you like, this is just a joke, this is not serious. And I'm telling you this because I seriously got this comment when talking about being fun, being useful, being memorable, and ultimately being less formal, if you so will. But let's be honest, I mean, isn't it all about creating some chilled, relaxed, and distressed moments for our guests? Now we talk about physical things, so something that you can literally see and touch. But there are also other things that can turn into memorable stuff and actually put a smile on the face of your customer. Something like the hotel rules or conditions or even penalties. Now raise your hands if you offer late checkouts on weekends. And probably this is too ironic because actually the vast majority of hotels offer late checkout during weekends. But remember before when I said that whatever the idea you come up with, the way you sell it, meaning the how, is more important than the what. And so copywriting plays an important role. Late checkout is so inflated. It's such a commodity that most of the time doesn't even get perceived as a benefit. It does, though, when your personal touch, something like this, kicks in. Even menus can be turned into something fun, like a restaurant menu. What is the one thing that all kids want, no matter their culture, their language, their country? Everything is a game, and if it's not, they'll try their best to turn it into a game. Make the kids have fun, and not only you will make them happy, but you will make their parents love you. And if children are sacred, actually dogs can be too in the eyes of their owners. And I know it because I'm one of them. And so imagine I'm a dog owner and you are the hotel. I'm considering coming to your hotel. Do you accept dogs? You are good. But if you give me something like this, you become my hero. And look at the details. Now, I don't know where this menu comes from. So the 24, I don't know the currency. Is that US dollars? And so if you ask me, would I pay $24 US dollars for such a thing for my dog? And the interesting thing is that the left part of my brain will tell me, what the hell are you talking about, idiot? But the right side of my brain will probably tell me, just shut the hell up and do it. And if you think this is too extreme of an example, probably you would prefer something more soft like this. But let's move forward. Even with just a very simple good touch, you can become memorable. More and more people have become more and more conscious and aware about the environmental topics, and so is the hotel industry. And the number of green hotels is rapidly climbing across the world, probably though not as fast as the environment would really need. And of course, it's not up to me to judge or to comment, but probably every one of us can do something with very little things. Little things like this. It's no secret that the number of benefits that plants bring into an environment, a house, or even an office. So why not in a hotel room? And I'm very happy that I had this opportunity to share this initiative, because I think that we all need to contribute a little bit more, especially towards the world that ultimately is hosting us. And I hope now you got inspired and you will start elevating the way you think of hotel marketing to become less commodity and to be more unique. And I started this post by sharing a very creative and memorable response of the staff of hotel in response to a request of hotel guest. Let's conclude now with another odd request, a very sensitive request. And I think by now we should all stand up and give this man a huge round of applause. I really believe, and this is the proof, that there are heroes, hidden heroes, hiding behind our front and back office desks. And so let's cheer and reward these brothers the way they deserve.